Hi, and welcome to Cat Ren Figures. I'm your host, Caitlin, and today we are here to review Aftershock Comics Animosity issue 4. Okay, so this is brought to you by the writing team of Margaret Bennett and the art style of Raphael de Laforte? It is a very beautiful French name that I cannot pronounce.
Raphael de Laforte.
De Laforte. Thank you, Mark.
I think I'm still screwing it up, though.
Probably.
Most likely. Sorry, guys. Don't judge me.
Yes, but we can see all that there. Anyway, as we open up into the comic, we get to see a little bit of a flashback for the early years of Sander and Jessie. We get to see one of the first nights that Jessie ever had Sander at her home. This takes place 5 years before, and she's feeding him formula, and she's reading him a bedtime story and tucking him in to go to bed, which is really sweet because she's reading him Little Red Riding Hood. And she says it's a story about the red girl and her wolf friend. And he's also secretly her grandma. I love a little girl's perspective on that the wolf is her best friend and he's also secretly her grandma. But we get to see a little bit about the estrangement of her family and the fact that her brother is sending his presents back to the parents. I'm not sure whether or not Jessie's mother is a stepmother for her older brother, or if the father is a stepfather. I'm not entirely sure about that, but I do know that they just want Jessie to have a relationship with her older brother. This is the character that she and Sander are currently trying to get back in touch with everything that's gone down, the loss of her parents. Yeah, craziness. Anyway, jumping right back into the fortress of the animal military and the issue that they're having between the animals and the humans. It's a little bit of a Mexican standoff between them trying to trade off hostages. And Mimiko just found out that they lobotomized Greyhound Pearl, which was the most valuable hostage they had. So yeah, the animals are calling for blood. The humans are stating that they didn't hurt her, that they helped her, they saved her life. And it gets a lot worse when they find out that Mimiko and the faction of his people that were loyal to him actually were betrayed by the koala and a number of others, including the tortoises and another number of other people. But essentially, they stated that did he really expect this to be a bloodless revolution? Seriously? They were eating tofu. They were basically starving. They were going against all of their animal instincts. And they were trying to just have a peaceful existence. That's definitely not going to happen. Of course, Mimiko feels betrayed. Of course he should be. He was betrayed. So there's a huge little standoff between the koala and Mimiko. The koala, as you can see, has tortoises with rocket launchers on their backs. So I probably wouldn't want to piss him off. But as a part of it, they decide to burn down all of the armory, including the kitchen, where Jessie and a number of the other animals that are completely, taken apart, they're just set aside from all of the fighting. They're not a part of this actual war. They're there to be peaceful. They're there to try to work things through. Well, Sander has to try to rush to the kitchens, and this happens. Which, how on earth this panel happens and the kitchen didn't get blown up, I don't know. Somehow everyone is still alive inside and they managed to get out. There's a really funny joke where the goat thinks, Jesus Christ, what was that dog giving you pages from? The Anarchist Cookbook? Ha, ha, ha. Yeah, lame joke. But yeah, thankfully they all make it out alive before the worst of it hits. And Sanders just happy his girl's alive. And then he gets hit by someone. He gets hit by Mimico. Mimico is pissed off because he thought that Sander would back him up in this fight. Sander told him going into the fight that he had no interest in killing and he had no interest in staying. Everything that he had was on the table. He and his girl wanted safe passage. So they end up getting into a fight, and I gotta tell you, Mimico don't fight fair. Mimico's rough. But yeah, Sander's basically willing to do whatever it takes to protect his girl. So there's this huge, ugly metal jaw thing that Mimico attacks Sander with that you can see right there on that panel. But Sander tears it off him. And a little ways into the fight, he actually tricks Mimico into sticking his front two paws right into it. So, yeah, I love it. Mimico insults him by saying, man's best friend. And it's kind of weird because Mimico questions whether or not the girl's parents are really dead and how they really died. Did Sander have something to do with it? And could Jessie turn against Sander when she gets a little bit older? Could she see Sander as being a monster in a little bit, with a little bit of time? Who's to say? You know, there was a pretty big time gap between the time period that we saw Sander getting attacked by Jessie's father to their leaving, and Jessie's parents are both dead. So what happened there? How did her parents die? Maybe this is something that we're going to find out later on. Anywho, getting right back into the story, Sander and Jessie are reunited, and they have to leave before the worst of the fighting starts up. Well, Jessie doesn't want to leave the rest of the animals. They all want to stick together, including, I think his name's Kevin? Kevin, the kitchen human that they were keeping? Yes, kitchen human. Human Kevin. I think that's his name. But, yeah, she basically begs Sander to take the rest of the animals with him. So, what's he gonna do? Other than call their whale friend. And that is where they leave off. Sander, Jessie, and all of the rest of the kitchen workers, animals, and Kevin are all now on top of this whale's back and being transported on. I gotta tell you, I have been loving Animosity. I think that this is probably the most fight-driven issue. Mostly they're pretty story heavy, but this one's probably the weakest story-driven piece out of the entire series so far. However, it was still really, really good. It was much more action heavy and intense in that way. I love the art. I always love the art. Marguerite Bennett is knocking it out of the park in this series. I mean, she normally does, but still. Great art, great writing. If you're not reading this book, I don't know what's wrong with you, because it's fantastic. Most of the things that Aftershock Comics is coming out with right now is just fantastic. Give me a like if you like this video. Comment below and tell me whether or not you're reading Animosity and if you're enjoying it as much as I am. Subscribe to my channel for more comic book content, or check out any of my older videos I have up for offer here on Catherine Figures. Like I said, I did review all of the previous issues, so if you haven't read them or checked this out, please do so. And until next time, I'm your host, Caitlin. Bye.